Okay, we'd like to call to order the Policy Review Committee meeting, September 4th, 2025. We'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting we gathered on the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territories of the Inca, Catamount, and Silks people. Okay, so first we have the adoption of the meeting minutes from the meeting held on May 22nd, 2025. All in favor? Okay. Okay, all in favor, moved. Okay, great. Seeing as how you don't have much choice. Okay, so first on the agenda we have is that Council Policy and Bylaw Review Committee recommend to Council that municipal alcohol policy be adopted. So we have this, I guess, up for discussion, comments?
Yeah. But we don't have to do something. Yeah.
Councillor Charney?
It's a little housekeeping on safe transportation. Have a duty of care towards event attendees and is legally responsible, not as. Okay, and so that I do have a question. How much is the special occasion license? Do we have a price for that? Changes?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
critical.
It's like.
Okay, so that's under liquor? Okay.
Councillor Egan?
Yeah, I think under this. Yeah, but no, that's business license. Hang on right here. Okay, so, under, on page 2, it says event workers, the license holder is responsible for ensuring the prescribed number of event workers are present and are aware of their and that they are aware of their responsibilities. And I think you should probably say they must have their serving it right.
So I think that we're talking about essentially the breadth of service workers. So they have to have security and they have to know what their responsibility is. They have to have service and they have to. So I don't think we necessarily want to identify particularly that everyone needs to have, what is it called?
Serving it right.
Called serving it right. I would say whoever is running the bar, you have to say
Yeah,
that.
You
and I
have to
believe
say
that.
But that's already kind of a law anyway, if you're holding an event.
They have to have somebody with it to hold the
Event,
license.
yeah.
But anybody else that's actually
That's fine.
serving alcohol has to have it as well. So they need to,
But-
whoever is holding the event needs to understand that.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Cause it's lots of times it's like, what's catch as catch can to get a volunteer.
mhm.
So if they don't have the volunteer and the police walk, or if they grab a volunteer that isn't certified and the police walk in,
They could be
the,
fined.
the whole
Okay.
event could be shut down.
Dave and I'll have a quick
So
look at.
it needs to be clarified, I think.
But
Okay.
does that really fall under the municipal purview? Because that's really under the Liquor Control Board to really monitor that. Like, I mean, I
is.
agree with Councillor Egan, but also at the same time, are we
It is.
staying in our lane?
We can refer to provincial legislation
Yeah.
in our bylaws. So we can say all as per provincial, whatever the provincial legislation number is.
Yeah,
So we can definitely say that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then with some of these special events like the beer garden and everything that we were discussing in here, because there are certain spots where you can have the beer garden, including at the park, but question. So how, well, I guess anybody can get a permit to have a special event, even if it's in the park.
Yes,
For a
but they
beer
have to
garden.
have permission from the city to
city.
host it. They can't just get a license, right? They have to
No.
have permission from the city to host it.
if it's in a city property.
If it's on city property,
Like
so in
the-
a park.
Like at the ballpark or something, if they're
Yes.
gonna have that, yeah,
Yeah.
that seems reasonable.
And we've identified which ones they can ask about and which ones
Yeah.
are off limits.
Like no ball dugouts and.
Yes,
no-
exactly.
Yeah, I saw that in there.
I have another question too.
Okay.
You want to go ahead first?
Well, I think the mayor had a
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
Just didn't have his light on yet. Good heavens.
I'm a newbie. The special occasion license event permitted facilities. Would it be a good idea to put the airport tarmac in there? Because we have had several events where
Yeah.
they were considering a beer garden, but they decided to do the one day before they did a beer garden situation. So at some point with the rally, you're gonna probably have a beer garden situation. Or if
Absolutely.
the drag races come back or some
Yep.
sort of event.
Absolutely, we can put that.
We could add airport to tarmac. I wouldn't want it anywhere else except the tarmac area. So, okay, thank you.
Does the cadet, I noticed the cadet hall was on the special occasion Schedule A. Does it get rented often?
We are now,
Okay.
holding as a rental. So we've taken responsibility back from the cadets for Cadet Hall because they're struggling with volunteers. And so we're using it as a rental facility if people choose. So they could have
What about the pickleball facility, the club?
we haven't included that and we can certainly,
Would they will serve alcohol there, so should that be added to Schedule A?
I would think so, but
I'd have to look at in regards to the lease, what the lease requires. So if it's covered under their lease, then we are not responsible for it. So we'll have to go back and look at the lease, but
What
if
if it's
it
just
is,
a rental?
well, they're the
They the rent-
leasee
they
and they
rent
rent
it.
it out. So all responsibility falls on the pickleball club. If they rent it out for a liquor event,
But-
so. we'll
Is
have to
that
go-
like the curling club?
Yes, well, I mean, the curling club, building is owned by the curling
Okay.
club,
So-
whereas the building is
Pickle-
leased by the pickleball club.
Yeah,
But as the leasee to the city, anyone they rent it to, they're responsible to the leasee, not the city. So I'll have to go back and look at their lease and see what it says about alcohol events. And then we can make a decision about where we put it in the,
would the airport be added to Schedule A then too?
yeah, we'll add
Yeah.
airport. to schedule.
if we're gonna add the pickleball club, should we not also add the curling club building? And I only say that simply because it's on city land and could we be
No.
called into a liability claim because it's on city property?
They're fully insured.
They're fully.
They, well, yes, they may be, but if we have a policy that says that there's no alcohol in stated buildings and there was ever a dispute on the, the address. That's all I'm saying,
Yeah.
because like when you look at further down, when we start talking about bylaws, it says the license can't be valid for another address, right? So that's in the bylaw section.
We'll look at those leases.
And I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but honestly, if it's a $3 million alcohol liability claim where somebody's been injured or something like that, I mean, I think we should just be safe and.
CYA.
Is there a problem adding it?
There is not, we just want to make sure that the lease already doesn't cover it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
But
if
even if the lease covers it, is it no problem adding it?
Well,
It becomes, it's not our building, so it can't be in our bylaw.
Okay,
kind of.
okay,
it,
okay.
it may not be
Yeah.
our building, but it's our property. And if we're ever,
I know, that's why we've
As a
got to look at the. lease and what
liability
the
concern
requirements
for the premise liability, that's all I'm saying.
are. Yeah,
Because if we can just add that location, then we're covered. Counselor Egan?
Yeah, if you go under security, point B on page 2, you're talking about the license holder or their designate will provide a safety plan. Is there a sample safety plan that you will have drafted that you could give to them?
no, currently we have, well, we do have safety plan expectations when we have events already for fire and for police, so they will be provided what we already.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's what I wanted to know.
Mayor, did you have a?
I do, just a quick question.
Councils.
Nope, wrong way.
I don't have the power to do. Thank you. So just a quick question, since we're talking about like the curling club. We don't mention the rodeo association in this at all because they have their beer gardens, so we have nothing to do with that.
Not our property.
Now that's lands right there.
Private lands.
Okay, okay, just checking. Thank you.
I
So-
think Councillor Charney might have another question.
Counselor Charney?
And so the only thing I would ask as well is we have certain facilities where we have regular offenders to drinking in unlicensed premises, which puts a huge liability on us, which is why we're doing this policy. And to date, we've struggled with how to manage repeat offenders. My recommendation in discussing this with Director Zackel and his team is that, first offense, getting intoxicated or having alcohol in our facilities in an unlicensed and unapproved space, you get a warning, then there be some sort of additional fee, and then at some point you are no longer allowed to use the facility. So let's say a hockey group, for instance, were to violate this repeatedly, we want to be able to have the authority under our procedures to say, sorry, but you are no longer allowed to rent the facility. You're banned. Because we do unfortunately have users in various facilities who don't feel like they can participate in sports without alcohol involved.
So we don't have that.
It's not in here. We would do it as a procedural. If council is, or if you have any other suggestions about how we manage people who are repeat offenders,
So when,
How
the-
bad is the offense?
well, they're drinking in an unlicensed premise.
so
So if they are,
Drinking for hours, I mean, what if you have to finish the game on the game?
well, I mean, I guess the issue is that we don't monitor it, so it's irrelevant if they get into a motor vehicle accident and they kill somebody after they've been drinking in our facilities, we still have a liability.
well,
So some, yes, drinking to intoxication, some having a few beers.
so we're not allowing it, we're not permitting it, and if we have that and they go against that, it just, right now, if I go to a pub and get into an accident from drinking, it's only as far as the liability can happen from the server as well. Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to, I mean, yes, I understand that we could probably be named in a suit, but I don't know what the success would be because we don't allow it. We
It has-
don't condone it, but.
Which is why we've got a policy, because we didn't actually have a policy
Yeah.
disallowing it in the past,
'cause-
right? So what happens is in some facilities, some user groups will stay for an extra hour drinking and our staff end up working overtime
Because they have to close up.
because
Yeah.
they haven't left in a timely fashion, or they've left cans all over the facilities, or,
Spilt it or thrown up or something, yeah.
yeah. So ideally, we don't, we like we would with, with somebody who is,
Drinking in public at the post.
drinking in public,
Yeah.
we enforce it, right? Or we
Yeah.
try to enforce it, the police try to enforce it. If you continuously speed, eventually at some point, you're gonna lose enough points to lose your license. This is kind of the same thing. If you can't follow the rules,
There's
at
consequences
some
for the
point, there
action.
should be consequences. And if council has suggestions or is in line with what we're kind of looking at,
So
Mayor?
for myself, I think first warning is appropriate. I don't think we should be going, moving into a banning. I think maybe we should start looking at fines
mhm,
and, fine to a certain degree and let them know that they'll maybe get one fine and then after that, they would end up having to be removed from the facility. I mean, I know, we all know what we're talking about here. And it's been kind of almost a rite of passage since I've been in this community for that to happen.
every single community in
But
this country fights this.
We have had issues where somebody has been injured in a game because of that situation between periods, right? So I think for me, I would prefer, a warning. I mean, we're all adults here, and we certainly wouldn't be going into their home and doing it. So we would ask them to here's the deal. Next time, a nice fine, whatever that is,
Mhm.
$1,000, $1,500, whatever.
Yeah.
And then after that, sorry, you're out. So the best we can do, or you're out for a year. We'll try next
Yeah.
season, see how things go. But at this point, unfortunately, you can't follow rules, so you can't use the facility.
And we want user groups to police their own members. But at some point, if the user group is unable to do that or unwilling to do that, we have to take some, I think, we have to
Well,
take some
For
responsibility.
myself too, I know a couple of my friends have their underage kids that do participate in that league every once in a while just to play with bigger folks. And they're sitting in their dressing room while that's going on and they're underage. So that's a concern. So I think that's the other thing we have to get across, but a warning, a fine, and then sorry, the rest of the year is off.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of where we're at, yeah.
Counselor Turner?
I think that you should also be adding the Nicola Valley Memorial Arena seating area, because you've done that with the aquatic center, you've done the change rooms,
Mhm.
and then the pool deck and the viewing area. So there's nothing to stop these guys from change room to the seating areas to continue on with their party.
So we do have a licensed area in the seating area.
Yeah.
But this is after the games, whatever?
Yeah, we can put something, we'll look at that as well, but
Yeah.
we didn't put it in because there is a licensed part of the seating area for Centennials games.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we just wanna
that's
make sure we
during the
don't
game is for public,
Accidentally
right?
impact that. Yes, Dave.
Thank you. Just to concern this, the public seating area is public space. There's no drinking allowed.
Yeah.
The only time you're allowed to drink is when you have a special occasion
You're
like.
not supposed to drink in the change rooms either.
Well, you're not.
So,
That's the problem.
yes.
There's no policy saying that we can enforce this.
Yeah.
So our staff are doing the best they can with pushing timelines and, being
By doing-
positive without getting
I
involved.
think the difference, Councillor Trini, is you can get we can allow you to drink in the stands. We will not allow you to drink in the dressing rooms, right? You can you can apply to get a special license.
For the,
But
But
Understand?
these groups are not getting that type of a license.
No, they're not.
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, if we say, okay, you cannot drink in the changing rooms,
Mhm.
they're just gonna go after the game, they're just gonna go sit in the stands.
stand.
You don't think so?
I'm
No.
hoping they go to the grand.
Well, you know what? To me, I would rather cover it than not cover it.
well, the problem with covering it by calling it in the stand would be then,
You're gonna
It-
impact
it con-
when they
it
can.
confirms for this,
Yeah,
it
Unless
is
you
in
put
contravention.
Unless we
unless
put a
you put
specific part of
after-
the stands or something like that.
after a game is concluded.
We would have.
So
to
it's not
say
just the stands, it's
excluded
also the parking lot. We've had to eject them out of parking lots
Okay.
as well. So it's just getting that message across. There's no drinking, please go home.
Or go to a pub or
You
something.
don't have to go home,
Or
just
like-
stay here.
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty much we're just trying to change the way
Yeah.
The cultures.
the cultures.
That's
It's,
what I was
it's,
listening to when I.
Sorry.
it's a different way of doing it.
It was closing time.
Moving on.
So obviously Councillor Charney has never played rec league beer hockey.
No, we don't call it beer hockey.
So-
Let's call it hockey.
Beer league.
Rec league.
So nobody honestly drinks in the stands. That's what the wieners do, not hockey
Don't
players.
put that in the
So
minutes.
you won't see anybody going, hey, let's sit in the stands and have a drink. That's not gonna happen. It's a dressing room thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, you won't see it in the stands.
There is the beer garden, that's,
Oh, the on the benches and stuff, like it happens, yeah.
but the beer garden during the Sens game is at the.
Did you have something else for this one, Councillor?
I know, I just want to move on to the safe transportation
Okay,
question again, because is there a safe transportation sample? Right on plan.
no, but we'll prepare one for them once it's, yeah.
Okay, so I guess, we're gonna move this to be adopted.
Well, one more thing. Under point B on the last page, or on page 4, it said municipality may require a security deposit payable. And then it will set the amount of security deposit required. So what would trigger the city to require?
The size of the event potentially, the type of event. If this has been an event with problems in the past, where we want to maybe let them try again, we may indicate that they have to pay a security deposit above and beyond. I mean, we already have security deposits for all events, but if you add a liquor license, it might be that you need to give us a bigger security deposit.
Is this refundable?
It would be refundable after, we could put, yep,
And what is the percentage, what is it based on?
chaos. The left is chaos to Lindsay.
Okay.
We may bring that as part of the fees and charges bylaw when we update it for 2026. We'll put in like a alcohol event security deposit or something.
Okay.
Right now, when people have weddings, they typically have their DDs or taxi service or whatever, but would this then say, if you have an event over, say, 100 people, we want to have 2 designated drivers on site?
They will have to develop their safety plan that will include safe transportation,
Okay,
however they decide to do that.
so then for the safety plan, are we gonna designate, okay, up to so many people?
Nope.
No,
No, we just have to find it reasonable. These are reviewed by Dave, by the police and the fire department.
okay, so what we consider reasonable, will the police consider that reasonable necessarily, or will that just?
They're the experts.
Well, please go. I consider it reasonable.
Would be the reasonable person test?
Mhm.
Okay, that's all
Yeah.
I think the idea is good. I just was wondering like, who sets that level of what's reasonable, but. Okay, so I guess bringing that. Now, if we adopt this today, then will this also just go to council or we just,
If you're recommending it to go to council.
yeah. Cause it says that the municipal alcohol policy be adopted, so,
No, that policy and bylaw review committee recommend to council that the municipal alcohol policy be
Be
adopted.
adopted, okay. Well, I think we've discussed, I think it seems reasonable. I think we're all in favor, so call the
I-
question.
Yeah, with the amendments that we discussed.
Yes,
With the amendments, okay, so we'll just, again, are you okay with that as accepted to move to council with that? Because we, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so next on the agenda, the business licensing bylaw. So I know I have a question. Yeah, I was all in favor on that one. Unanimously approved with the changes as noted by Councillor Egan. There we go.
wow,
So for 4.2 on the business licensing bylaw, I noticed that there was quite a change on the food truck licensing. But I also noticed that further down in the bylaw was saying that, you know, if there was a location change, that doesn't, you need to apply for a new license. So with the mobile food vendors.
not with mobile food vendors.
Okay, so that doesn't apply to them, that it can just be at designated locations for food vending in Merritt? Okay, and it also has the times from only like 9 AM to 8 PM, so.
Unless otherwise requested. I believe there's a section in there. I'm trying to, my computer
Yeah,
says.
I was
no
kind of
internet.
going over it and thinking, because sometimes there'll be an event, right?
Mhm.
Like if it was a tournament weekend for the baseball or something like that, and they're going till 10 or something,
Exactly.
maybe with our special event, beer garden.
Have we decided if we're going with lights in Central Park yet?
So, no,
License.
lights.
Lights to extend the playtime.
So
Yeah.
currently, right now, the Minor Ball Association does not have any money. And can't give us a amount.
And that's who had proposed the light?
That's who requested 4 lights,
And we have determined that it's about $350,000
approximately $300,000.
to do two diamonds.
Well, we could have had free lights from Revelstoke 25 years ago.
Yeah, but yet, they
They were gonna give us theirs.
benched.
Yes.
So on the light thing, that was approved by council. I brought it forward from the rec commission on their recommendation with the process that it was supposed to be done. Council approved it. So now we wait for that process to happen. So
It was the recommendation was that we investigate the
Yes.
lights, and that's, we'll bring a report forward on that. We were hoping somebody else was gonna get back to us about this, but it doesn't sound like it.
we were quite clear that we were not going to be paying for that all
Yeah.
out of our own pockets, that we have
Yeah.
to kind of work together on that. And that was their recommendation from the rec group to have it go that way. And because they can, now that they've gone through the budget process, they realize it's not only the fact of getting the lights up, it's the fact that you got to maintain them. I mean, I don't know how much a bulb is, but I'm gonna guess around $900 or so, who knows, or more. Yeah, I can only imagine. Anyway, thank
Sure,
you.
business license bylaw.
One question I did have under the section where it says, you know, business or registered nonprofit, that was kind of scratched out in the red. So when you have a nonprofit that's trying to do fundraising, under the current, were they supposed to have a business license if it was for fundraising?
No, however, that section has been misconstrued by many organizations that because they're a society, they consider themselves to be fundraising all the time. And in reality, that is not the case. We're talking about like a true not-for-profit that's doing like the United Way campaign or whatever, right? Like those are fundraisers for a purpose.
But how about like the sports groups or like?
They're not fundraising. That's not what they're doing. They are playing fundraising. You know, when you talk about sports groups, yes, we all as parents do fundraising, but that's for the benefit of my child.
So if there was a group like the dance group or something, and they're trying to raise money for,
They are not a not-for-profit.
but they're not a non-for.
They are
No, they're
not,
business.
they are for
That's a
business. It
business.
is a private business.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you'd want them to have the business license.
They have to have a business license.
Yeah. Cause I mean, I think what it is that people need to understand that a little bit more and then. And then the intercommunity license, like I know we had approved that a few years ago in the council meeting. I think it was last council term. But I mean, I couldn't tell you who's part of our interior community business license.
None of a
I
list.
think it's
but
like Abbotsford and Merritt, and sometimes it could be this one or whoever's dropped out.
I would say with the not-for-profit ones, we've had some organizations who've been very aggressive with my staff around having to get business licenses or not. And it's been very challenging and inappropriate behavior towards staff.
Well, and even with the food trucks, half the time they're on the weekend when
Nobody can afford it.
nobody would even really enforce it. So I mean, I can see it's nice to have in here, but I don't know. So I think Counselor Egan and I'm not sure Counselor Charney had. I think you were first.
Just a question here. What is the difference between a home-based business and a resident business?
Resident could be a renter.
No, sorry, let me just open up the,
But like, well,
won't open for me.
Home-based
and it said the
business.
location, you're still a home-based business, but you're,
So a resident business is a business in the community.
Oh,
Well,
Like
isn't a
somebody
home-based
owns-
business within the community also?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
but a home-based business is in somebody's home. Whereas a resident business, I believe, let me go back,
Me.
is somebody who owns a business in the community.
Oh, so that's not like a commercial?
It is also a commercial.
Yeah.
There are various definitions that apply.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So like we have inter-community businesses, so someone could come from an inter-community, but they're not a resident business.
okay, so on a home-based business, if someone has a home, it has two homes, they are currently living in home A, but have a home business in house B, that cannot be a home
No, that would be a resident business,
in a residential area?
Yeah, it's not permitted. It's not permitted.
but that's what it would be. It wouldn't be a home-based business if that, the only thing that they weren't living in it, they were just running a business out of that house.
In a
And-
residential area?
It would have to be, there would have to be a request for variance. You'd have to approve it. It's not permitted. They could, if all of those things happened and everybody was happy with it, like often you will see things like corner stores in residential areas, right? And
Mhm.
so that might, in some places, there was a run out of, might be run out of small, home or whatever, and it becomes a corner store. But that's a variance that you have to approve.
Okay.
well, how about, when I think of home-based business, I think of some small business that somebody might be doing,
Hairdressers.
hairdresser or.
So that also is
something
not,
like that.
technically also not, a home-based business is it used to be a desk and phone business. It's a desk and computer business.
Yeah,
That's all your home-based business is. It has to fit inside your inside of your residence. It has to be less than a certain percentage of your residence, and it has to be, if you're an online travel agent, that's a home-based business.
So
Well,
when I
why
was-
isn't a home, like, there's a lot of hairdressers
There
that
could
put
be.
in, hair salon in their basement.
They would have to have a variance because it's a commercial business.
but how
Yeah.
about, but there's all sorts of things that people also do, like they could be selling like, Tupperware or cosmetics or whatever from their home. Technically, that's a home-based business as well.
It is
supplies.
still a home-based business because they're traveling out to people's homes to do like Tupperware. You're not selling and keeping a stock of Tupperware in your home. You have a catalog, people order from the catalog, you go to Tupperware parties.
Okay, so this has changed then, because when we had a jam business, we made jam in the cannery. And all we had to do was get a business license. So this has changed now.
Yes, I think it's been changed for the last couple of iterations. The issue is that when people have commercial businesses in residential areas, it can increase traffic flow in those residential areas, which
Oh,
impact.
well, okay, we were never selling to the general public. We
Yeah,
were going
But
out.
what happens is that things that are zoned as residential are meant to be lived in, they're not meant to be businesses.
Yep.
Right? Because there's, let's say you were making a brew pub in your neighbor decided they were gonna open a brewery in their house. They weren't necessarily gonna sell out of their house, but they were gonna brew everything in that house.
Yeah, but,
Imagine the smell of a commercial brewery next door to you.
okay,
If you've ever been in downtown Halifax.
no, not so far. The way you're suggesting that means for anybody who's a trades in this town could be a problem. How about the plumbers that might have a truck parked at their home that has some of their supplies in the truck?
So-
What about Hub Electric?
Well,
So-
it could be anybody. It could be a plumber, it could be an electrician, like.
This is, yeah, absolutely, under
not-
primary sense, but the issue is that a residence, we have residential zones because they're meant to look like residential zones.
Yeah.
So if people keep all of their commercial equipment in their yards, then it no longer looks like a residential zone, it impacts it impacts the neighbors, right? If you have a yard where people are keeping, their snowplow equipment and they have 3 blades in the yard and they have, this truck and they have the quad and it's all parked in the yard because it's part of their commercial business, it impacts the saleability of other houses in the neighborhood. This is a very standard definition of home-based business that is in most community bylaws. Because residential belongs in residential, commercial belongs in commercial. Otherwise, we wouldn't zone things.
Yeah, but okay, people having a lot of equipment parked in the yard, fine. I can appreciate that. But the thing is that the way you're talking and suggesting this, anybody that keeps their vehicle and they keep some stuff that we don't even see maybe in their garage is gonna be requiring to come to a variance. I think we're just getting a little bit
So
too far the other way.
that's actually not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who are using their homes as commercial businesses.
Okay,
If you're a home-based business and you park your truck with with your company name on it, it's got some stuff in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
That's not a home-based, that's that's fine. Because it's not, you're not keeping, we have a property in town right now that refuses to get a business license that has 20 some cars parked in it in
Oh,
a
yeah,
residential
yeah.
area, and he sells used cars.
yeah,
So
No, I know
that's
where-
what you want in our residential
No,
areas, right?
no.
So this is generally why we don't do commercial businesses that increase traffic, reduce the pleasantness of a neighborhood, cause additional noise, cause additional, smells, cause it in residential areas. Those belong in commercial areas or light industrial
Yeah.
areas.
No, I do agree.
So you could have a plumbing business and have your truck there and have some supplies that you need in your basement that you can take out, put into your truck.
But legally
But
under
not
your-
selling from your basement.
And it has to fit the insurability of the residents, right? Like you
Okay.
cannot, your insurance may not cover you running a commercial business out of your residence. if
Unless
they're-
you have a home-based business endorsement or commercial active policy.
And
Yeah.
technically, it's not supposed to be more than a certain percentage of your residents,
Okay.
right?
Well,
So
I can appreciate the things that you're describing, right? Because things get out of control. But I also know that sometimes you can drive by some homes that are so meticulous that you would never know what was in the garage. So
What are
that's
we-
fine, right?
that's exactly right.
Yeah, so that's all I'm saying. I just don't want to penalize the one guy who has a meticulous garage and
No,
has some
no. We're talking about
Yeah.
people who are running
blatant
things that
businesses.
should be, that
Yeah.
they don't want to run, they don't want to find commercial land, they don't want to pay for commercial land, so they're doing it at their residence. That's the problem we're seeing.
Okay.
Okay.
It just because I don't want to penalize the person who's, making $1,000 a year selling like Mary Kay.
No,
And
no,
we're
that
gonna
is
come down on, well, no,
definitely
but
not the
like,
intent.
this is what I'm hearing you say, and I'm like,
No, people who are taking over their residential area with their commercial business. It's meant to be a keyboard desk
Yeah.
contained thing.
because there's a lot of people that do a little thing as a hobby from home and they make,
Essentially has to be, the
Yeah.
definition has to be contained in your home.
Yeah.
Can't be spewing out into your yard.
sometimes insurance companies do know that people do, like, they're not all evil. So yeah, okay. Counselor Train?
Could I have clarification for 9, location, hours, number of places of business?
Yeah.
So any person wishing to sell, offer for sale, or display goods or solicit business of any kind whatsoever on any highway, street, lane, or public parking within the city must obtain the written permission of the licensed inspector. Now, I'm confused. Does this include people that put these garage sale signs on
No.
all of our posts?
No, it's people who are setting up booths on the side of the road or on our sidewalks.
What do you mean to say when I put that cabinet out in the road and says free?
No. That's recycling. That's
Which
reusing.
point was that?
Section
Um,
9.
Yeah, section
Paragraph
9. Okay, so I wanted to clarification on that.
Yeah, it's like the person who sets up a booth on the side of, on the sidewalk and starts selling jewelry or selling crafts without any kind of permission.
Okay, then I have another question on number 17. It's only permitted such permission once every calendar year. So what about the Rotary or the Bass Club that may have 2 events? And they start at 7:30 in the morning, both times.
It's a special event.
But it just says only permitted. and is only permitted such permission once every calendar year.
Could be a problem.
I mean, what we're trying to do is avoid people saying, oh, we're having an event every weekend, right? Like I need to have an extension every weekend. So if you, I mean, we can kind of wordsmith that to make it a little bit more, unless it's, you know, a fundraising organization, like a service club.
Well, how many times has Fast Community had a breakfast?
Oh, but is that a mobile breakfast?
No,
Is it in a building?
This is mobile food business.
Yeah, so that,
So
a
is that different?
it's not a mobile, if the Basque Society has a breakfast in the Pacific Center once a year at 7:30 and call it the school once a year at 7:30, that's not a mobile food business. Mobile food business is a truck, a trailer.
Okay, so when they set up outside with their,
No,
like the Rotary is in a mobile food
but
thing.
that's more of a commercial venue where they're trying to do that. These are service groups like the Rotary and
Okay, but does this affect the Rotary? If the Rotary wants to do, they did Labor Day weekend, maybe they want to do a Mother's Day. Yes, but
It's the nighttime.
breakfast.
Rodeo can do whatever they want. They're on their own land.
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think the,
AM and PM, way to go.
yeah. I think the main thing is that these are also businesses where the Rotary and Basket, they're more
Service
volunteer
clubs.
service
Okay.
clubs and you know,
Anyway,
they're not
what
making a profit,
clarification on
they're
the
donating
time?
money, like the Rotary is.
So we
trying to-
could put something in there around other than a service groups being an exception or something like that. If there's a need to change the times more often,
Yeah, well, because normally people like to eat
Yeah.
early, so,
but no.
but yeah.
I'm not sure if this actually fits in with what we're talking about, but I'm sort of having, and I've been watching as I drive up and down the hill all summer long. I'm sure that on the weekends, there's lots of activities going on in the park, and maybe you need another source, like maybe a food truck or something. But I kind of feel we're in conflict of interest with the person that we gave the contract for our own concession.
We're technically in a conflict of interest because we're competing, we own a building with which we can compete with other businesses. You know what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't be competing with other businesses. So in the future, council might want to consider whether or not you want to actually use the concession as a rental space. If
Thought
you-
it's leased out to.
I know it is
right
right now, but in the future, you may want to decide whether that's something you want to keep doing, because technically we should avoid impacting private business by having spaces that people, like, we have spaces that we rent out to people or to businesses that should be using private property rentals.
Yes.
And they should definitely be at market rate. And right now the concession probably is not at market rate. So when that, I think it was a 2-year lease, I think those are discussions that council may want to consider going forward.
Well, I just think we're, by allowing other food trucks to go in there, we're limiting his chances for success.
Yeah, but you're.
But I understand,
yeah.
but I understand free enterprise.
Yeah, it's like this,
So,
fees for set park, has to have permission to access any drug vendors.
Yeah.
so I see food trucks every once in a while up Gasoline Alley down.
There's a
by
spot there.
Popeyes.
Did you look on the map? There was a spot in that.
Okay, so they get a license, all those.
they should all have a license. And
Yeah.
again,
And then the one across from Norgard's?
that one's licensed.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's actually not city property. That's,
Who owns
that's,
that pullout?
that's
So-
provincial lands. That's
Oh.
on land.
So in other words, I could have a food truck that is not owned, or I could put it up somewhere that is not city-owned property?
We just don't have jurisdiction
Yeah,
in the TNRD, so.
No, but what we're talking now, food trucks on city land, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens if I want to go to Save-On?
Well, that's city.
And that's,
That's
and it's
Save-On
private?
private property.
I can do that.
They have to, you have to, would have to have permission from the owner of Save-On, but yep. Technically, we can't say they can't park there. Only on public lands.
Okay.
I know sometimes you're like, what? restaurants. Bad choices are being made.
Yeah, it's a tough thing because you want to make sure that the businesses that are paying for taxes and permits and everything are. being
Which is
followed.
why it's really important that food trucks be licensed and that there be a recognition that all of these things impact other businesses. And some of these food trucks are coming from out of the community. So,
Mhm.
they should not be impacting local businesses. They should be paying at least a very minimum the license fee.
This policy and said, look through the citizens, well, the system, who is where.
Yeah.
And I personally think there should be a fee charged.
And certainly there can be, we can put something like that together with the fees and charges by law. If you want a space, you gotta rent the space. So if you want that slot, that stall.
Then that
you
would be
rent that
more
stall.
equitable to the fellow in the park.
Mhm.
As opposed to them just asking, because weren't they 4-hour permits?
Yeah,
Do we have an updated list of the food truck license?
we're just working on the GIS drawing
Okay,
so that we can map it out properly.
I know in the past we had discussed the locations like.
We have a drawing, like we have a map, it's just not as clear as we'd like it to be. So, and we wanted to identify a couple more spaces so we can get more people bringing in food trucks.
I still think we gotta give this guy a chance, or, we're always gonna be scrambling to have somebody in that place.
Mhm. And I think Dave is right. If we charge food trucks for a space, that makes it a lot more equitable for being on public lands.
Well, I mean, every space a food truck goes to on public land, they are bringing extra garbage, goes in our garbage cans. They are bringing a potential of oil stains or cleanup that we need to do on our property and location. Once they leave, and then we're in charge of cleanup. There has to be a cost to that,
Yeah,
and a business license doesn't cover that.
No,
and where's the
Unless you
incentive?
say you're responsible for taking your own garbage away with you.
But you.
Normally,
people
that's
walk
what it
away.
is, but if someone buys something from a food truck, walks over to a
Yeah.
park and keeps on walking, well, then they're gonna use our garbage can.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's great. I love it that they use a garbage can, but now we have to empty that garbage. It's extra garbage for us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And bathroom wear, if all our bathrooms get used more by food truck being there, more people come there, our bathrooms get used more. Great, but there's still a cost of cleaning, there's still cost of doing business.
Literally. Double entendre.
Okay,
So are we gonna call the question then? We recommend to council to bring this business bylaw 2405 and fees charges be considered for adoption then?
Yep.
Okay, so all in favor? Okay, so DEI council policy, okay, that policy bylaw review committee recommend council that the diversity, equity and inclusion policy be adopted. Oh, I don't know. Councilor Charney?
I have a question.
Yes.
you know what, Mr. Chair, we actually haven't been having a first and second to open the discussion.
Oh,
So
pardon
maybe
me.
we should do, I just
well,
noticed.
just if I did one, then do the
Yeah,
Wendy,
okay.
yeah, just do opposite. Yeah.
Maybe I'll address this later.
They want a first and second?
And actually, if you don't mind, I'm gonna
DEI?
call Yamuna to the.
Is it DEI you wanna talk about?
Yamuna wrote this policy, our intern, so I'm just gonna call her up in case there's questions. So she can stand at the podium just in case I can't answer a question for you.
Okay.
Just press that button. And then just in case.
Just in
And I
case.
want her to be acknowledged for developing this, one of her first policies.
Yamina, that was that.
Yamuna.
Yamna.
Hi.
I'm not interested.
Might want to just move the microphone down for you so we can hear you. Well, I mean, I was reading it over and I was just thinking, well, we don't exactly allow a hateful workplace, but obviously there must be some kind of concerns or something like that.
All places have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
but I mean, I just don't think we call it DEI, but
we have a
I do have
safe
a
workplace
question.
policy, but the
Yeah.
DEI is. Yamuna, can you kind of explain the difference between a safe workplace and a DEI policy?
So basically the main goal of the DI policy is to have it be more like inclusive, so that everyone feels like they have a place where they belong. It also has like the ultimate goal of making the community feel like it's a safe and welcoming place, both in the community and in the workplace.
Yeah, so the DEI policy extends beyond our staff and into how our staff provide services to the community, and those services are meant to be inclusive. So for instance, if our elevator was broken, our response to that would be we would go downstairs and meet people who could not ambulate up the stairs in order to provide them services, to ensure that they were still able to access at City Hall services.
And would this also include to make sure that our spaces are safe for people to enter that have mobility issues as well?
Yeah, we're actually just doing the accessibility assessment.
Okay,
We have some funding, and the accessibility committee,
yeah,
agent accessibility committee are gonna be working through that. Yeah.
because when you look in town, a big concern for people in mobility scooters and wheelchairs is the lips are a little bit high, and some people have a challenge getting up them.
Yeah, those, I mean, those all meet traffic engineered standards. My
Well, the new
bigger,
ones do, the new ones.
I mean, and my bigger concern is all of our places where we have the gravel soaker pads as part of our stormwater management system. When a sidewalk ends and
Yeah.
then you have to go over the gravel soaker pad, it actually reduces your accessibility to that
Yeah.
area. But it's also things like, could we be offering swim times where there's no music, it's quieter, and for people with sensory issues? Could
Yeah.
we be offering, is our website accessible enough for people with reading, lower reading skills, visual impairments, other language impairments, or speak a second language, English is a second language, right? Those are the types, so it's beyond physical disabilities. And the DEI is meant to identify that we welcome everyone.
Counselor,
Yeah, under 3.6, it says for definitions of bullying and harassment, discrimination, et cetera, consult the applicable respectful workplace procedure and safety standard. Where?
Sorry, that would be part of our OH&S
That
program.
it should say that. Yeah, because otherwise, what, am I just go online and look up something or? Yeah, okay,
We'll figure it
so,
out, yeah.
okay, thanks.
I think Councillor Trunnion.
well, no, just making
I
sure that
like
you
the
got everything else.
language that you have used in here as versus the old one where it keeps saying promotion of hatred. I really appreciate the language that you have used in this. And I think it's well written, so well done.
Okay, well. I think, so do we have a mover and seconder then?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, and then all in favor? So we'll carry that one. And then, some memorial benches, tables and tree policy that the policy and bylaw review committee recommend to council. Do we have a mover and seconder to discuss? Great, okay, questions?
I do.
Take it away, Councillor Trini.
Okay, I do have a bit of a problem with taking names off benches, but I'll let that one go. But I do object to if a tree is being planted, I think that should be a perpetual tree in memory of someone. I don't think after the 25 years, whatever, it should be taken down. A tree is kind of different than a bench that deteriorates over time. A tree is just going to get nicer and unless it doesn't, yes, but in most cases it does, and it contributes to the overall atmosphere of the city. So I personally would like to see, keep your timelines in for your benches and your tables, but have the trees in memoriam. You know,
Can
that's it.
certainly do that.
And I did like in the old policy, you listed the options of types of trees that they could pick from.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we would do
they're
that
here
in our
Okay.
price list, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only concern with the tree is, yes, I agree with the statement that the tree should last for a long time and be in perpetuity, but if they get rot or they have to be taken down or they're vandalized.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's different.
The intention is the sponsorship of the tree, sorry, what the opportunity is, the sponsorship of the tree is for 15 years. So that's where we guarantee that we're gonna take care of this tree. We're gonna make sure we monitor, we do the maintenance and everything around it to it, take care of it. After that, the tree's gonna live forever unless we want to move it. Then after that year, so the sponsorship will not occur again.
I
It's a
think,
one time only sponsorship, and then the tree stays. If we
And-
decide to move it or
But
do
does the
something,
plaque stay?
the plaque can stay, or the plaque can be removed by the
If they
sponsor,
choose.
if they choose.
well, and then the other thing is if you have to remove the tree because you're changing something like Spirit Square used to be a parking lot and now it's got, different pieces in it.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I mean, sometimes you can want to make a change too. So then what would our responsibility be? That
If
have
we,
to
if we
notify
moved it
the-
within that 15 years, we would buy another tree. We would be responsible for replacing that tree.
Replacing it somewhere else.
How much maintenance is there in a tree? I mean, if the tree is in the park somewhere, I mean, you're already maintaining the tree that's beside it, the tree in front of it, and the tree behind it. So would you not just include that tree after the 15 years for the maintenance
We
of
would-
looking at?
But for a seedling or a sapling, there's a lot more maintenance, right?
Yes, and after the 15 years,
And it's
she's
been
on its
well
way.
established.
That's right.
Yeah,
well
but
established.
there's no more sponsorship past that 15 years.
Like-
After that 15 years, it's our tree, it's in our
Yeah,
park. We
we're not
maintain
gonna
it.
replace it.
No.
after
No, I
15.
know, no, I'm not going to
it
replace it,
does.
but I think that
Wants to make
if-
sure
if-
that the
if-
person's plaque.
Doesn't
that's
get
great.
moved.
I think the plaque should stay with the tree because it's a different situation than a
It's a,
bench.
we will contact that person.
If they
But do they
choose-
have to pay again?
No,
No,
no, no,
there's
no.
Okay, then that's
no
fine.
renewal. We'll contact them. Their sponsorship is now completed. The trees, like we've done our 15 years. If they would like their plaque back, they're more than welcome to. If not, it'll stay there. But after that, if it disappears, it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
that's a good clarification.
Perfect, yes. Okay. And do we have an area for the service members?
We don't have an area chosen. There might be something that we want to, I think that's a discussion that has to happen a little bit more significantly. There's the chance perhaps at the cemetery around the garden area where we could do something there. We hadn't included anything up there in regards to, maybe we could have a large rock where people could put in memoriam kind of thing that supports the maintenance of the garden as a sponsorship. We hadn't gone to that many places yet. There are an infinite number of things that we could suggest. We were trying to keep it manageable.
Because I think that, if we do set this up, the very first two names would be the RCMP officers that were killed on duty in Merritt.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really good idea to have. We just have to decide
Where it's gonna,
where it's
Yeah.
going to go.
yeah, and it could be Fairley Park, right? That could be a great place for it. We could.
There's
put in a
another, yes,
memorial
Fairley
wall
Park,
At
yep.
Fairley Park. So we just have to decide the appropriate place.
Yep.
For that to happen.
Would the applications for these memorial plaques and benches then just come to us for review or would it just be?
No, they're just operational.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there very many people that have expressed interest in?
We have several. We have many, many, many benches and such things that are have plaques on them.
Yeah.
One of the big things I wanted to just point out is that we have benches with plaques on them because one person used a space and that was their favorite space. And that bench there's no use of that bench. And so for us to keep that, it becomes this sort of like, that we're gonna spend money, and at the time, it was less than the cost of a bench to have a memorial. So we're paying for a bench to go somewhere that nobody ever uses. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we're mapping out places where benches and tables and those sorts of things are needed. So that people can put them in places where the city.
Are you talking about the one by the funeral home?
No, I'm actually talking about the one on top of the bench. When you go up, like above Central Park. Above the ball diamonds, there's a bench up there with a memorial plaque, and I don't know whose it is. It's not personal. It's in that green space.
Yeah,
Nobody sits.
at the end of Parker.
Yeah,
Yeah, that empty lot,
yeah, nobody sits there.
but yeah, okay. Yeah.
Then we'll have to start using that.
So
Slide down.
with this, and I'm glad this has come because I've kind of run into a little bit of a situation myself. With the wind phone, Carol, Fulcher and myself, we wanted to put plaques up there for her daughter that passed away, my granddaughter that passed away. So we went ahead and we ordered the plaques and we paid for them, but unfortunately the benches up there are not bench plaque. And nobody really knew this. So we're kind of stuck with a situation where we have plaques and nowhere to put them. And I think we've kind of come to a decision that we're going to probably put them on the wind phone for now until we can figure out, because we've
No,
already
I
paid.
think they don't work on the wind phone. This is kind of where the idea of maybe having some sort of in memoriam rock
So
or
the
something. or-
whole idea of this at the time was because Carol pushed for the wind phone.
Mhm.
She'd like it up there. So we have to come to a consideration on what we want to do. Anyways, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's nice to have this policy, because right now, nobody really knew. Had we had a policy, I don't think we'd have been able to order the plaques unless it followed the policy. But the policy wasn't really there, so we just ordered them and paid for them. I paid $900 and I think Carol paid 900. So it's $1,800 and now they're kind of on their way, but we're not sure what we can do with them. So anyways, that's why I'm glad we're having the policy. The other thing that I should ask for is, are we going to put a no-go in areas that, now, we, you know as well as I do, we get a million requests for Spirit Square. And I don't want to put these in Spirit Square or any kind of a memorial in Spirit Square
We
or
have-
anything like that.
We are mapping out specific places where these things can go. Council can, if we have a question about a memorial and we're not able to answer it, we can certainly bring it to council for your consideration. I do think as we go through the downtown revitalization walking tour, those are things that might want to be discussed with the consultants. That maybe there is a place, but it's a specific place where there is some sort of, or whatever, right? Like it's not, we put 20 benches in Spirit Square.
Yeah. We have to be
To-
careful where we put these things because we may want to redevelop or you may want
Yeah.
to change a
You
building.
you wanna keep them contained and perhaps on something that you can take off the wall.
Removable, yeah, just like mural.
Yeah, to go
Counselor?
back to the mayor's situation here, why could we not have an area in the cemetery set up so people can put a plaque there in memory? I mean, some people are cremated and their ashes are spread, but they still want a plaque somewhere to remember that person. So is there a possibility to have an area in the cemetery to have something like that?
And so, and to me, around what's the garden called?
Columbarium.
No, the garden,
Yeah. That's where you found
Oh,
some.
Yeah. the ash garden, whatever, there's a better name for it, but something like that there where people can put something like that. Now, we are reviewing this year, hopefully, fingers crossed, the cemetery policy and bylaws. Because there are some things there that are quite outdated. And so this is something that we can bring forward as an option for purchase of, right? But you have to remember, when we do a memorial bench, they pay for not just the plaque, they pay for the bench. So how we're going to do that up in the cemetery where somebody wants to put a plaque, what is the cost of that beyond just the plaque? So those are things that council's gonna have to
Well, a
consider.
bench is situated somewhere where people can sit on it, so
Mhm.
people are gonna be using it. If it's up in the cemetery on a certain whatever,
Mhm.
people aren't going to be using it, they're just gonna be viewing it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a real difference.
There's a
between-
difference.
Yeah.
Cost, for sure. So we just have to.
Memorial benches, sorry, chief, our memorial benches are now being engraved,
Oh, right,
not plaqued.
not plaqued.
So
The
how do
plaques-
you remove
plaques were
that?
being- That's what we've moved to.
So, but how do you remove that after
We don't,
15
because
years?
it's those
You
benches,
don't.
those
So-
benches will be at end of life. They won't be, once the plaque comes, like, once the end of the sponsorship, the way we've built it, once the end of the sponsorship period, that's the end of life of the bench. We'll be happy if the bench lasts that long.
Is that,
So the
Yeah.
build and listening to your responses over the last while, I reviewed it, what your thoughts were about the longevity of these benches, longevity of these sponsorships. That's why we went to extended of a 15-year. Benches are allowed an extension of a 10-year after that. Pending a review, it's all written in the policy of what the cost would be. If the bench is still in pristine shape, it'll just be like whatever a 10-year.
Yeah, and you said you'd have set that
cost.
3 to 6 months prior to contact.
So-
So,
Yeah,
these,
yeah, absolutely. And then after that, another 10-year assessment will be done. If the bench is done after 25 years, they'll be told it's done. And if you still want that memorial bench, you have to buy a new bench.
do the bench,
If we can do another 10 years and get 35 years out of that bench because it is still in great shape, fantastic. They'd get 35 years out of that bench and then that's end of term.
the ones you're using now, do they deteriorate?
They all deteriorate, whether they're composite or not, they deteriorate. There's just so much wear and tear on the benches. It doesn't really matter. There's the graffiti and they're just, public benches are hard to maintain.
what have you done with the ones that were removed from the downtown area?
We have no benches left in stock currently, so I would say they're gone. They've either been placed elsewhere or they were at end of life and destroyed or disposed of. Because we have none in the yard right now.
Thank you. On your point about up at the cemetery, so that's already covered. You either buy in the columbarium, you put your on the columbarium, or you put it on the stone, so that's already covered. When we decided to do this, we probably should have actually asked somebody, but we just figured, well, there's a bunch of benches out there. We might as well just use them. Didn't realize that they couldn't be used for this. But those benches on the columbarium are used a lot. I don't know if you've gone up there. Now, I've been up there lately and the cemetery is looking amazing. I don't know what's going on, but it looks fantastic. But there, every time I go up there, there's somebody always sitting in the area because I don't know if you've seen it, but it's all now got flowers. It's done very well. It's very peaceful up there. And the wind phone has been used quite a bit, but that's why I'm excited to see this because we kind of got caught between a rock and a hard place, and that's on our own fault. We should have asked a few questions before we went ahead and did what we did. So
If we're gonna have these plaques and people are gonna put them where, I mean, are they not gonna contribute to the rock or to the,
That's a discussion that we've gotta move forward with the cemetery bylaw.
okay. Well,
Cemetery, we try and keep it its own.
Counselor Baxter wants to chime in, so.
I go to the cemetery a lot to see my parents. On top of the landscaping, there's that stone. You could always put the plaques on top of the stones as you go around the cemetery where the landscaping rocks. Cause those are easily removed if they're broken. And that's a good place just to sit on the bench and see where all they are. That's it.
Yeah, well, did we have a mover and seconder already?
Yeah, but-
We should probably already ask the question then. Yeah, but in favor? Carried. So I guess next on the agenda, we have acceptable use of AI technology. So that the Policy and Bylaw Review Committee recommend to council that the responsible use of artificial intelligence tools be adopted. So do we have a mover and seconder? Great. Discussion?
I do.
Councilor Charney?
I just, under background and just, my language is a little confused here. Ensure cybersecurity and future-proof staff.
So future-proof staff means that in 10 years, something hasn't come up that is now a problem, right?
So that's a term, future-proof
Future-proofing.
staff?
Which one are you in? 1 or 2?
The
Number 2?
second line down on background.
In the briefing notes.
So future-proof staff
Yeah, we're
is a
future-proofing.
term.
Future-proofing is a term.
Future-proofing,
Yeah,
yes,
we're
I understand
future-proofing the
that.
staff.
Well, I think
Still awkward.
we have to be careful with AI right now because it could pull out information and make things public. I believe somewhere up north, a small community had tried to integrate AI and it didn't work out very well. But I see the mayor has a question.
So for myself, AI goes to a point where people who are in council should never be relying on AI to answer questions from the public.
Yeah, right.
So I would ban all use of AI within council meetings. Or if you're going to use AI, you need to let everyone know that this response came from AI. Because people want to hear you speak from here, not from your computer.
Yeah.
So I would like to see no use of AI at the council table for anyone. Now, that's different with staff out here where they have to use it. But in response from a councillor to ask a question or answer a question, that should not come from AI, because today I was playing with AI and I knew the answers to several questions and I asked several different AIs and I got 3 completely different answers and they were all incorrect. But they sure sounded like they were right, but they weren't. So for myself, I think the use of AI, even if staff is using it, there has to be a disclaimer, a little thing on the bottom that says AI involved, just so we know. I am seeing things now. I am watching movies every night on YouTube made by AI that are 10 times better than Hollywood movies. They're fantastic. And these aren't even real human beings, but you can't tell. It's unbelievable. If I was Hollywood, I'd be nervous because 10 years from now, actors will be, who cares? We can pay they've got 12-year-old kids making
Yeah.
million-dollar blockbusters in their basement. It's crazy. But when we're in council, the use of AI in council, it should not be allowed. And that's where I'd like to be.
Here, here.
I think that,
And I think it's really important, like the reason when we do AI, when we use AI, particularly open source AI, that is gathering information from many sources. It's not critically evaluating that information. And that's where staff have to be very cautious, is that if they're using an AI, and we will only use closed source AI because we don't want to let information go, but any AI program that is generating information from a variety of sources is not fact checking that source. So even if we use AI to generate a report or generate a policy, we still have to go back and fact check that. So, I mean, I am an old school person. I have a couple of master's degrees. You know, I've taught at the university level. I'm kind of like, check your references. You can't say that without referencing it, right? And so to use AI is a challenging thought for me. But it still has to be fact checked. AI is not truth. AI is a gathering of information and synthesis, whether it's true or not.
well, there could be inaccuracies, Counselor Egan.
Yeah, I thought I had read somewhere in here that you had already chosen a certain AI to be working with.
We have a couple of, I think we're using,
ChatGPT.
no, not ChatGPT, that's open.
Oh, okay, okay.
Copilot, I think
You
is
pay
the
for that?
one.
Do you pay for?
No, it's part of our 365.
It's
Well, you
part of
pay for it.
It's Microsoft.
It's a Microsoft
You pay
program.
for it, but you just.
Yeah, you pay for it as part of your Microsoft.
It's just part of
program.
it. So I don't know if that's anywhere in this, but I would like the fact that.
I think in this one, we said that you had to acknowledge that you were using AI. And that you had to fact check, you have to fact check and I think you have to acknowledge.
Well, the only issue that comes with that is if we're gonna spend. If somebody is using that, we could spend precious time fact checking for them.
Yeah, so in 3.2 E must be transparent about the use of AI enabled tools to generate content if the use was substantial or meaningful.
So would that mean, what if we don't find their comments substantial or meaningful? I mean, what if the comment was so ridiculous that we all, no, but it's.
If I'm writing a report, presenting you with a report and it's entirely AI generated, I have to acknowledge that.
Okay.
If one definition is AI related and it's not a impactful thing, then maybe I don't need to acknowledge it. But if I was generating an entire report to you in AI, I would have to acknowledge that.
Okay.
And that I fact checked it. So I should have just written it by myself.
When we were in school, we had to put down at the end of our report,
References,
references and.
footnote.
So we didn't.
Since they don't do that anymore.
And also too, if.
And a bibliography.
Yeah, bibliography, and if you want to know how smart AI is, anybody here have Alexa? Ask Alexa who the mayor of Merritt is. It's not me,
Who is it?
Linda Brown,
Oh, of course.
still 3 years later. So that goes to show you how often they update these things,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I feel like
I'd be
I
in
wanna
for a
go back
surprise.
now.
My granddaughter gets upset every time it happens. No, he's not.
Okay,
okay, so we're gonna call the question on that?
Yeah.
Recommend to council, okay, all in favor? Okay, so, City of Merritt, Public Records Retention Bylaw, okay, that the Policy and Review Committee recommend to council that the City of Merritt Records Retention Bylaw be considered for adoption, so do we have a mover seconded? Great, so a discussion. My only one comment was, do we actually only keep some records for 6 years, like in the list that we
Yeah,
had here?
it's whatever the legislation is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what
So
happens?
there's retention legislation for a number of things.
Okay. So when we get certain developers who are thinking that they're gonna come for development in 2025, but in 2008, somebody had said this and this and this.
It's an
Like
open
it's-
file, we retain it,
Okay,
right? If so land files, we retain those. The issue, or the reason there's a retention timeline is for just that, but ultimately we have to be able to destroy paper files.
Yeah.
With digital retention, things will probably could be kept longer. but the legislation is required. That tells us what our legislation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea. My only concern is that if we don't keep certain things for long enough, some streets are developed, like Springbank was probably developed 20 years ago.
So we
So-
keep all of our as-built drawings
Okay,
forever and ever and ever.
yeah, because as neighborhoods will expand, but it
Yes.
takes time for them to.
Yes. So it would be more like, if I was no longer employed with the city, how long would you keep my human resources file,
Okay,
right?
yeah, because some things say like a 1 and some are 6.
Yes,
I'm
so it's
assuming
very,
that's-
Yeah, a lot of ones.
So, and I understand that for certain documents, but then I'm thinking.
yeah, we have,
Neighborhood development,
don't ever go in the file room.
well, it just, I mean, plus.
What are
we're-
we doing with getting things off of the third bond?
So that's, what we have in our privacy and records management person, our clerk now, and so they're working towards that, but we're still working on getting our SharePoint system up and running, which will be our shared data system, which we will then be able to put files on, and those will be our electronic files. The biggest issue for everybody right now, I think, in a lot of places, is that there are so many paper files that we've retained. So like I was saying, all of those as-built drawings for every single road, all of that has to get scanned in. And we would have to bring somebody in to do that. So, you know, that's a great summer student job. But there are thousands and thousands of files in our file room that would have to be transferred over digital. But we're trying to move digitally current stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good idea for your asset management, so
Mhm.
I guess. All the question, all in favor? Great. All right, 4.7, grant and aid versus community event funding.
So this one, I just want to get some direction. The mayor had, I
I don't have
believe,
that.
there's no briefing note for it.
No.
There's no
They did
briefing
that on
note for it.
purpose. They used AI to change that. I like it.
The mayor had previously made a motion, or what was it?
Yeah, it was a motion.
It was a motion.
Yep.
To review the grant and aid and move to some sort of community event funding. And I just wanted to have some discussion about that to get a direction. I have been thinking quite a lot about this. And you know, we went from $75,000 to $25,000 in the last year, 2 years. Alternatively, there is an opportunity for us to remove that $25,000, but still provide funding, because what we're seeing is a lot of that money that you're giving out is being used by the same groups every year, and it's become part of their operational budget, which is not the intent of grant and aid. And so an alternative could be something as simple as, instead of giving out funds for events that are accessible and appreciated by the entire community, like let's say the country Christmas events, we could provide facilities in kind.
Well, that would be nice, or
Right.
community benefit.
Something like if there was a big tournament, you know, there's something like that. You don't want to give it out to everybody, but things like the Airport Appreciation Day, they don't rent the tarmac like we do with the motocross people. And we cover their insurance. You know, country Christmas, that's a very expensive week for them. You could give that in kind. I was thinking about, the car rally, the antique cars, you know, they rent the park space. You could give that in kind. So it wouldn't be a financial commitment, because it wouldn't show necessarily that it's income. We would identify it as in kind rather than part of our income stream. So you wouldn't be giving $25,000 away, but you also wouldn't be losing revenue, because we wouldn't keep it as part of our revenue stream. It would be just the in-kind donation of facilities. It would only apply to facilities, and it would only apply to events that council identifies as open to the community, with no fees or no profits being made, like those kinds of criteria that you'd want to set for what meets an event. And that way, if somebody comes forward partway through the year and they're like, I have this event that is going to be very community oriented, you know, it's going to be an arts festival in the park and everybody can come, and I want to run this and stuff, you can give that in kind and there's no impact to the ratepayers.
Yeah, something that has the benefits of community enjoyment.
So that was just an idea I came up with, and I just wondered if that's maybe something council wanted to consider rather than continually giving the same groups operational funds.
So one of the reasons I brought this forward was for that reason. And the other reason being is in one night, we give it all away. And if somebody shows up 3 weeks later and has a brilliant idea, we've got nothing for them. And at one point in time, we had grant and aid, and then we had contingency, 50,000 in each. And the contingency was there in case somebody came after grant and aid with a great idea. But we don't want to put that kind of money in anymore because it's $100,000. We don't want to be doing that. So, yeah, so the CAO and I talked about it, and I think it's a better idea. And we cannot continually be on the hook for supplying money for these foundations. And I got to be honest with you, sitting on TNRD, I see the exact same ones when it comes to grant and aid on them. So it jumps the divide. So I like what the CAO is suggesting.
Have you identified those groups? You know, the ones that keep coming back and how.
Almost all.
And no, yes, and would they benefit from an in-kind?
Some of them would, definitely. Some of them would definitely benefit from an in-kind. So you're right, like the Volleyball Association. But again, is that a community event? Because I think we give them in kind for a dance, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
And is that a licensed dance?
A dance dinner
Is
situation.
it really a community event? Whereas something like Country Christmas, which we provide funding to every year, in fact, is a community event.
Well, we like the Volleyball Association and the Volley Fest because they bring so much tourism to the community.
Yeah.
Well, I think we would just have to word this in a way that it has a large benefit to a large group, like not directly just to the volleyball people, but it could be the business owners in town as well, right? So-
Right, so with that, the economic benefit, so either it has a large, it is
Far-reaching
open
benefit?
to a
Yeah.
large, or it's a,
Yeah.
free community accessible event, or there is a noted economic benefit, perhaps might be something we want to talk about.
I agree with that because a lot of the other groups that we were giving financial aid to were very specific and targeted audience
Mhm.
of who the money was going to be affected.
Well, not only that, but some of them weren't even in the city limits. They
That's
were in
great. You
TND.
are exactly correct. And I really, and go back to the Country Christmas. To me, that's one of the biggest things that Merit does for the year. And you look at the number of people that participate in all the different activities. And, to look at those activities and do in kind to me is far better than a financial contribution.
Well, it's only that you have to look at things. Let's talk about the Greater Vancouver Soaring Club that came up for their week and a half of being here. We had close to 80 of them here with their wives and everything, staying in hotels, buying fuel, camping, and et cetera. But they spent a lot of money here. Same with the autocross. We're looking at 150 vehicles for the one in September. The Canadian Nationals, they're here for 2 days. So if you've got 100 drivers, you've got 200 people because wives or girlfriends or pit crew comes.
Maybe some of the women, they're drivers.
There's one very good driver. She's
Sorry, I
she's
just wanted to
fantastic.
say,
She's actually really, really good. She's I can't say it here, but she's a great driver. And but you start to look at how long they're here for. So they buy gas, they buy food, they stay in hotels. So yeah, maybe we don't make a lot of money up there, but the community makes the money and it dribbles back into the community. So grant and aid, I think, is starting to run its time. Most TNRD struggles with it, and so does everybody else. It's just that you become a part of their business plan, and you just can't keep doing that.
Well, I think that the last couple of years, we've really trimmed that down and we put a lot of parameters in there, so I think it would be an easy transition. We haven't promised anything, and if we're not offering that or having it as a community event funding or, for far-reaching benefit, I think it's reasonable. I think people have come to expect it. I think after last year, I think people kind of got the message a little bit more than maybe.
So then how are you going to present that? Normally, what is it, October you send out?
yeah, so I would bring this policy to you at the beginning, the first meeting in October, so that you could approve it.
We kind of suggested that maybe we would let this year go and
Do you want it? It's up to
implement it for next year.
Or you can identify ones that,
It's up what you guys want to do.
yeah, I can get it together to you. I can get it together and bring it to council, October 14th, I think.
Sandy.
So then do we want to do
If you're
Motion to bring-
happy with that criteria,
Yeah.
that I can get that together.
so do we want to make
Dave's.
a motion?
Love your idea, I really do.
I'm firing in right now.
Moving into next year, nothing's saying that we have to give $25,000 grant and aid out. Even if you guys have it allocated, doesn't mean you have to give it. So if we want to work on this in conjunction with
Right.
that,
That's
then
true.
people that apply for it, some will qualify under the criteria for the in-kind, others might qualify for the grant and aid. You do not have to give all $25,000 of it. You can do your own balance. We can tell you what the cost of the in-kind is and do your own balance and
Well, what,
do it that
I
way.
mean, what Dave's is saying is correct, is that like ultimately some people have already been planning for it. We haven't put it out, we haven't advertised it, but some people have it in their plan. So council could choose to do both things this year with the idea that you're transitioning out of grant and aid, and maybe you're more discerning about who does get a grant and aid.
well, I just,
Okay.
I think
So-
last year we had changed things enough that if we wanted to even just call it the community event funding or renaming it, I don't think it would be such a hard stretch, but. I don't
Yeah,
think so either.
I think we also talked about last year that there was a time limit. Somebody coming into their third year would be their last year, and then they would have to do something else. So somebody, I'm not saying get rid of the grant and aids completely, I agree. Because some people are not gonna need in-kind, they're gonna need cash money. And then if we just go to an in-kind situation, they're left out. So I would say that we put the 25,000 in as a grant and aid, and then we can decide what is then in-kind and go from there. But I agree, we have to have something in there for people that are not gonna be using an in-kind deal.
So, and I guess my one other thing I would say is that council should consider, and no judgments, please, thank you, I'm not judging anyone. Is council should consider whether or not they should be donating funds to an organization on behalf of their residents. Right? You're making a donation to an organization on behalf of your residents. It's very different than deciding we're gonna build a road versus giving money to a group on behalf of your residents. You know, people donate to the things they think are important. They donate to the things that they value personally. Does it feel like the right thing for you to give tax dollars to groups on behalf of your residents? I'm just asking because that's one of the reasons why.
Depends on the group.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's right, yeah. But you know, like, again, if a group came in and four of you were like, oh yeah, and the other three of you like, I don't like that group. How do you decide that it's really okay to give resident money to that group? I know that's the.
That's why-
What
that's
we
why-
did, what we did last year was, I believe, is how great, they were contributing to the community as a whole.
Yeah, which is why the moving to a community
Well,
event was.
Best for
more
you is that would be a council decision, so
fun.
really, honest to
The
God.
residents.
Yeah,
As
I mean,
a resident,
also,
I asked that question.
too, the death knell for me is the fact that we want a donation, but we're gonna give $2,000 to charity. Well, no, we'll keep the 2,000, we'll donate to charity.
That's why we're,
So don't use our donation to put to charity. We'll do that.
that's why we're
Mhm.
gonna revamp it, maybe rename it, go in a different.
Well, and
pivot.
so, I mean, ultimately, if council wants to sort of do a combination of the two, or they want to have me, you know, they want to remove the grant need $25,000 and just go to the in-kind donation, because there's no impact to the ratepayers if we go with an in-kind donation,
I,
right? Whereas if there's cash, there's an impact to the ratepayers.
Well, I don't think that any organization should be dependent on the city to run an event.
no,
We're not in the business of supporting any organization. And that's why I like the in-kind, you know, yep.
So Cynthia, could we have you present both? What one would look like and what the hybrid would look like?
Well, I mean, ultimately you would have your grant and aid policy, which you currently have, which we updated last year with all those criteria. And then I would have an in-kind policy with criteria for what constituted a community event
Mhm.
or a significant economic development or economic contribution to the community, maybe. And then you could just decide, you could either do both of them, or you could do one of them, or you could do none of them.
well, I just think renaming a community event would be adequate, and then you could operate within those parameters.
But you might want to give out more than $25,000 of in-kind, right? Country Christmas is like $8,000.
I think it was 4,000 last year for the use of the facility, but anyway, I don't know what we had done.
So
Yeah, but
really,
it was based on the rates of the old.
It was
the
the old
old
rates.
rates, so.
Yeah.
an in-kind doesn't really hit us financially.
No, it does not.
You know, and something like,
Well, staff
If
cost.
Kevin was sitting there, he'd say yes.
yes, yeah, I know.
No, I had this conversation with Kevin, we talked it out. We
Immaterial.
identified that
Yeah.
in-kind funds do not, it's not really where you don't have to be it as revenue. You show it as in-kind versus as,
But there's expenses that go along with
The
that.
janitor,
Staff
that-
cost.
yeah, and that's the in-kind part, right? That's what we build in. If you pay
Yeah.
$1,000 for
Yes.
something, we've already built in staff time, we've already built in.
Yeah.
yeah.
And groups will still be required to pay damage deposits.
Yeah.
Because if anything happens to our facilities, they are responsible for
I
it.
think
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay, well, that would have to be written in as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, I move to.
Make a
Move it to
motion,
council.
yeah, motion
So I'll bring something.
first, seconded, all in favor, there you go. Yeah, okay, well, we don't have any information items, and so that's the end of the meeting.
Okay, I gotta go coach